Hello everyone, welcome to the third video on Active Directory attack series. In today's video, we are going to perform Kerberoasting attack, which will help in lateral movement or privilege escalation. So, before diving into Kerberoasting attack, it's important to have a basic understanding of how Kerberos authentication works. I will give you a brief introduction to Kerberos authentication, but for a more detailed explanation, feel free to check out official Microsoft documentation. Link will be available in the description. First, let's understand what is a SPN. SPN stands for Service Principal Name, which is a unique identifier for a service instance. It allows us to uniquely identify a service within a domain, and it plays a crucial role in Kerberos authentication process. So let's look at the SPN format. First, it contains the service name. For example, if we are talking about SQL service, then the SQL service name can be like SQL_SVC, then a slash sign. Then comes the machine name. For example, SQL1 is the machine name, and then @ symbol, and then the domain name. For example, marble.local is our domain name. Optionally, it may contain some port number. For example, 336,600. Okay, now we have understood what is SPN. Let's look at the Kerberos authentication process. There is mainly three components in this authentication process. The first one is user. Let's say the user is DBS in this example. The second one is KDC, which stands for Key Distribution Center. This KDC is responsible for issuing the ticket. Usually this KDC is a domain controller in most of the case. And the third one is the server or service in which this user want to access. So the first step of this authentication process is this user DBS sends its credential to the KDC requesting for a TGT. Let me tell you again. This user DBS sends its credential to the KDC requesting for a TGT. So what is a TGT? TGT is ticket granting ticket. Okay. In the second step, the KDC verifies this TGT, and if it is valid, then it issues a TGT and sends it back to the user. Now that this user have the TGT, this user requests for TGS. So TGS is simply ticket granting service. While requesting for this TGS, this user presents his TGT. In the fourth step, this KDC verifies the TGT, and if it is valid, it will issue a TGS. After receiving this TGS, this user requests a resource to the server. While requesting the resource, this user sends his TGS. The server then verifies the TGS, and if it is valid, the server grants access to the requested resource. Okay, let's look at this overall authentication process once again. First, this user provides his credential and requests for TGT from the KDC. The KDC verifies the user credential. If it is valid, then KDC issues a TGT. Once this user receives the TGT, it requests for TGS. While requesting the TGS, it presents his TGT. KDC verifies this TGT, and if it is valid, it issues a TGS. Once the user receives the TGS, the user presents this TGS to the SQL server. SQL server verifies this TGS. If the service is valid, if the TGS is valid, then the server grants access to the requested resource. Now we have basic understanding on how Kerberos authentication works. Let's move on to Kerberoasting and see how we can perform this attack. For this attack, we need to have access to domain joined account, which does not need to be privileged. In the Kerberoasting attack, we will focus on this number fourth step. In this step, the TGS that we received is encrypted with the service account password. This TGS is encrypted with the service account password. This means that once we have obtained the TGS, we can extract the encrypted part of the ticket, and then attempt to crack it. If we are able to crack it, then we will receive the service principal password. This explanation might feel a bit of overwhelming, so let's move into practical example to better understand how this attack works. For this attack, I have my domain controller and attack machine ready. Domain controller is Windows Server 2022 and attack machine is Kali Linux. If you want to create a lab, you can check out the Cyber Mentor YouTube channel, or you can head over to Hack the Box Academy. So for this account, let's create a new user in the domain. For this, I will go to Tools, Add Users and Computers, and then under this marble.local domain, under user, I right click new and then user. Okay, let's call this user SQL_SVC. Yeah, and then next, and let's set a weak password so that it can be easier to crack later. I will set the password as password1 with capital P. And then next, and then finish. This is our newly created account. As of now, this is our standard domain account. Let's tie a SPN to this account so that it can be used as a service account and we can request a TGS. For this, go to View, Advanced Feature, and then what's our user? Right click on the user, then go to Properties, go to Attribute Editor, and search for service principal name. Here is the service principal name. Now double click here. Under value to add, I will add name as SQL_SVC / hydred_SDC, which is the name of the domain controller that we are right now, and then add the red and then the domain name, which is marble.local. And then click add, and then click apply, and then OK. Now we are all set. Let's move into our attacker machine. For the attack, we will use get users SPN script from Impacket. So let's run the script. Impacket get user SPN, then DCIP, the IP address of domain controller, marble.local, which is the domain name, and the username. Here fcastle is the user whose access we have. Then enter the password of fcastle. Running this script lists all the available SPNs in the domain controller. Looking at the result, we can see the list of SPNs. We will be focusing on SQL_SVC. Then we can add test request flag to get the encrypted part of the ticket from TGS. Just add request flag and enter. And enter the password of fcastle. And we'll get the hash of the SPN. In my case, there were two SPNs, so we got two hashes. So let's grab the hash of SQL_SVC, which is this. So copy the hash, go to new terminal, and then save this hash into txt file and paste. Our hash is saved in a file. Now to crack this, we will use hashcat. So hashcat with mode of 1300, the hash file which is hash.txt, and then the word list file. For this we will use rocku.txt word list. And looking at the status, we can see the hash is successfully cracked, and we get the password of this SQL SVC SPN as password 1, which completes the Kerberoasting attack. Thank you for watching. If you are stuck on something and want help, you can contact me on my Twitter or join our Discord server. A link will be available in the description.